Hey everybody, welcome to Localite. Today I have a really great set of guests on the show. You've probably experienced and enjoyed their product, organic, Columbia Gorge Organic juices. And we're going to start off the show today with Cheryl Stewart, who is the mother and in some ways actually the founder of Columbia Gorge Organic juices. You and your husband started out in San Jose in a very different type of business, I understand.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. What was it? What were you guys doing?
Well, we were in the dry cleaning business. My husband followed his parents' footsteps and started a dry cleaning business in 1967. He had gone to the National Institute of Dry Cleaning in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, a great school. Graduated top of his class in all the classes he took. There was it was in quarters, and there was different things that you learn, and it was very fun. And so we started this dry cleaning business, and it was going very well. We had 2 dry cleaning plants and had signed leases for 2 more. And one day he comes home and he says, I think it'd be fun to do something different. And he says, this is all I've ever done, because his parents were in the business before he was. And so he said, we had 3 little boys, Scott and Ronnie and Jimmy, and he says it'd be great to get out in the country and do something a little different. So we said, well, it sounded fun.
Were you thinking country like maybe Northern California country?
Didn't know. I mean, we really didn't. I mean, he just set it out there, and we thought, okay, let's talk about it. So it wasn't very long. We put everything for sale. Bought a motorhome. Businesses, the 2 businesses we put for sale, sold. Home went for sale, sold. All furniture, cars, vehicles, everything. Pretty much we owned. What was very valuable we put in storage. Bought a motorhome and traveled for about 4 months. And we went to Mexico. First, that was more of a vacation, and which was fun. Lived right with the Mexican people in Mexico. It was great fun. And then hit the United States and decided, we had some states in mind that we wanted to look at, and we did that. And actually 17 of them we went through. Weren't interested in living in all 17, but did travel with a motorhome. I'm not going to make
any guesses on which ones those might be. But
probably shouldn't say, but there were some real fun, neat ones that we really enjoyed. But landed in Hood River, Oregon in 1975, April.
And it was a very, very different town than what it is today.
Oh my gosh, once the windsurfers hit in the 80s, and great restaurants and some fun stores, it's totally different, thank goodness. I can't, probably the natives.
You've embraced the changes, in other words.
Definitely. And so we bought the farm in 75, and it was 95 acres. And it was fun, and the 3 boys at that point were 3, 5, and 9.
So you traveled with 3,
boys,
5, and 9.
And 2 dogs.
In a motorhome. For 4 months prior to, Hood River probably was looking pretty good even in 1975.
Although, it actually was. It was, get me out of this motorhome.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it was really fun. It was fun, and Hood River's gorgeous, and being on the water. We've always loved the water. We had a boat. Loved the water. Chris didn't realize that Columbia was 50 degrees. We were used to like Lake Shasta and some of the warmer waters.
Quite a difference.
But very different. But it was fun. Yeah. And so we bought the first farm in 75, and my husband learned, very, very outgoing, eager guy to learn things, and read a lot and stumbled a lot, but it was very fun. And then we bought a second piece that was a dairy right across the street from us, and had been a dairy for years and years. And so he thought that was going to be a real fun challenge, because it was 40 acres of nothing. And so he could plant his own varieties and start from scratch, which the 95 acres we bought was all planted.
Okay.
And so
with fruit?
With fruit. Oh yeah, cherries. We have cherries, apples, pears, peaches, nectarines now. Not all of those in the very beginning. Started with cherries, pears, and apples. Okay. And then throughout the years planted the nectarines and the peaches.
And no intention of going into the juicing business at that time,
Not
right?
at that time.
Orchardist,
no,
basically.
Just orchardist. Just being an orchardist and raising the 3 boys, and very involved in sports and the community, and It was great. It was really a fun place to raise the kids. It was neat, and that was what he was most interested in, getting 3 boys out in the country, and thought that would be fun for them. And then when we bought the 40 acres, he planted that to some varieties that he wanted to plant, which was fun because you take 40 acres that didn't have anything on it, and you can plant it the way you want.
Yeah.
And that was in the later 80s. About mid-80s. And then our oldest son was at Willamette University at the time, and he majored in various things and then started saying, maybe I want to farm, maybe I want to be home, maybe this, and then he said, well, but what we're doing right now isn't probably enough, so what else can we do? So we'd start talking about farming organic, and one thing led to another. We bought a packing house.
I got to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Why organic? Because back in this was in the 80s?
This was in 80s, yeah. This was
Organic
mid-80s,
was
end of 80s.
like talking about Mars.
Well, not really.
Really?
I had, when Jimmy was born, sorry, Jimmy, I got a little bored being home with 3 little boys, and I was lucky not to have to work full time. And my mom says, well, if you want to go to school, go back to college, go. And I'd watch the kids, but you can't go 5 days a week, but I'll help out. So I went back to college and took classes in nutrition. And I did it for 3 years. I didn't stop. I loved
Really?
it. It was wonderful. I learned all about what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat. And of course, right away, it was organic. And that was in 71, because it was right after Jimmy was born that I
bet you
started.
a lot of people would be surprised about that. I had no idea it went
Oh
clear
yeah,
back then. It was already starting
yeah,
to pick up.
I can go even back further than that, but
Really?
for us and
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
it was 71, and so it was real exciting. And even when we moved to Hood River, I bought organic because there was a co-op in Hood River that you could place orders and bring in some organic. Didn't eat solely organic, but we had always, since the classes started in 1971. So Ron and I and Scott kind of chatted about what would it be like to go organic. And of course, my husband Ron, cold turkey. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it. The whole farm is going organic. So, okay, everybody in the valley says, oh, it can't be done. You're going to lose your farm. And he said, no, and wasn't afraid. And so we opened up our packing house in 1989, and we went totally organic. That first year, nothing was organic other than we had a very few young trees that nothing had been done to them. So that first year in 89, I think we had a couple of, not much, but a little bit of organic fruit. Because in the early days, you had to farm organically for 2 years before you could be considered and we are certified organic.
Right.
So,
and one of the first, actually, if I understand correctly, in the Hood River Valley, and I know there's not that many since.
Even since, no. At that point, we were the largest in Hood River, and actually almost the whole state of Oregon.
Really?
Because we took the whole 95 acres and 40 and went organic. And the piece that we bought, the 20 acres that we bought, the packing house was orchard also. So we ran that, and that had 28, well, not the whole 20, about 15 acres of apples, the old-fashioned red delicious apples. And so we farmed those also. So we had quite a bit. So what happened was that went great. I mean, it was very difficult. A lot of fruit went out the back door. And so what I mean by that is when you pack fruit, your number one fruit that looks great goes in a box, and that usually goes to supermarkets. It's a number one piece of fruit. And the number two pieces of fruit usually will go to a supermarket also, but could have a couple of blemishes, which are allowed. The number three go out the back door. That's usually applesauce, apple juice, apple pies. It's all processed fruit.
Okay.
So our son Scott at the time said, whoa, a lot of fruit is going out that back door.
The stuff that doesn't really need to look so pretty sitting up there on the shelf.
Exactly.
And so I understand Ronnie and Jimmy are coming on in the next segment. And
Yes.
they're gonna talk to us all about the whole production process.
Definitely.
And
Yes, be fun.
You know, everybody thought it was a silly idea back when you started it.
Well, they frowned. They said it couldn't be done. That was mainly the story.
Yeah,
Can't
it's got
be
to
done,
feel
can't
good
be
to prove
done.
them wrong, huh?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
Well, Cheryl, we got to take a quick break. I
Oh,
really
great.
appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yes,
It's been a
well,
pleasure
thank you.
talking to you.
Same here,
And we'll
very
carry
much
this
so.
conversation on during the break. But
Okay.
everybody stay with us. We have Columbia Gorge Organic juices on the show today. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Jimmy and Ronnie Stewart, who are in the operations and all the behind the scenes stuff. So stay with us. We'll be right back.